Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching accesstv.org.
Happy holiday, everybody. How are you this morning? Oh, I kept thinking all week, what in the world? I've told you so many stories. What story could I tell you today? But there was a story that we did with a group of women. And so I want to tell you that story because I thought that story was a very interesting story. It's a little short story. There was a gentleman. He had a family and he had children, and he decided that he was going to invite his father to live with him because that's his duty as a son, he thought. So his father came to live with him. And it didn't work out as well as he thought because his father had some habits that he really didn't appreciate. And one of the habits that he had was that when he was sitting at the dinner table, he would let food fall out of his mouth every once in a while. Maybe he might have drooled a little bit, And the man just could not stand this. And every day he would sit at the table, he would get more and more disgusted at his father. And his father looked at him and knew there was something wrong, but he couldn't figure out what it was. And his habit got worse and worse and worse because he was so uncomfortable. Well, one day his son decided that he would put a little table in a corner so his father could eat there, and then the rest of the family would eat at the kitchen table. And that's how it was for a very long time. And the father did not complain. But then one day, the man came home. And his children were playing, and he came and he said, "What are you doing?" And they were making a table in the corner, and they were fixing it up. And they said, the father said, "Well, what are you doing?" And so they said, "Oh, Daddy, we're making a table for you for when you get old, and you could sit in the corner." And the father looked, and he didn't say a word. But he brought his father back to the family table. And as time went on, he got more relaxed, and the father, his table manners improved a little bit, and his shaking wasn't so much, and he was kind of relaxed, and he was feeling good. And the man felt good because his father was back at the table, and his children would no longer be planning his table in the corner. That's that story. And I thought that was a very good story because sometimes we get upset with our parents, and we make them nervous. And I said, parents don't always know why you're making them nervous. They're just doing the best that they can. I have older children too, and this story really fit into me when my children get upset with me and they say, "Ma," they kind of verbalize it, but I thought that was a very good story about, hey, we took care of you, we sat you at the table, we taught you things. Don't put us in the corner. Nah, don't put us in that corner all by ourselves. So I thought that was a nice story to tell you, just in case somebody needed to hear that. Another story that I'm going to tell you was a story that a man named Cooper told me. I asked a group of people one day, give me one of the best times of your life. And this is a story that he told me. And in this game, it was sort of a game. We had to guess who the person was after we told the story. So this was Cooper's story that he told me, and that now I'm telling you. He lived in New York, grew up in New York, and he was about maybe 10, 11 years old, And he wanted to be with the big guys. But these group of boys were too young to be with the big guys. And the big guys didn't want to be bothered with them. The teenagers didn't want to be bothered with them. And they would always chase him away. So they decided that they were going to do something to make them pay attention to him, and that they were just as smart as them. So they sat down and they thought, what could we do? What could we do? And we're going to get away with it too. They were not thinking of things that they could do that their parents would approve of. No, 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 no. They wanted to get away with something. So they sat and they thought and they thought. And they said, we'll go down to the subway. And in those days, the subway, when you're going in, they had bars and you could slip through and get in without paying. So Cooper and his group of friends decided that they were going to go down to the subway and sneak through those bars and get into the subway free. And then, hey, who could figure that? They thought no one else in the world could figure that out. But we're going to make a plan. So every day they met and they tried to figure out how they were going to do this. So they decided, first the littlest one went, and you go real fast and we'll just keep following you, and they'll be so confused they won't know what to do, because we'll just keep going, and they won't be able to stop us. We'll go really fast. So they planned this thing, and one day it was time to execute it. So the littlest little boy, he went. And then the next little boy went. And the next little boy went. And finally it was Cooper's turn. And so he started going through the bars. But unfortunately, he got stuck. And he couldn't move back and he couldn't move forward. He couldn't get out of those bars. Oh, he was scared. He tried and he pulled. And the more he pulled and tried, the more stuck he got. So they called the ambulance. And they had to cut the bar to get Cooper out. And he went to the hospital. And they called his mother, who was a very big disciplinarian. Oh, Cooper was scared to death. And when he got up to his apartment, his mother said, go in your room. Oh, Cooper went in his room and he thought of all kinds of punishments that he was going to get. Oh, she's going to beat him. Oh, well, he won't be able to play with his friends. Oh, he had an upset stomach. Oh, he just could not imagine what his mother was going to do to him. And she might have had to pay for that bar that they had to cut him out of. Oh, he was so upset. And he sat there on the bed and he just waited and he waited and he waited. It seemed like it took her a very long time to figure out what to do with him. And finally, she came into the room, and Cooper was kind of shaking and looking at his mama, and she said, come on, let's go get some ice cream. Cooper could not believe it. His mother felt that he had been punished enough, and they went to get ice cream. So when I asked the group whose story that was, of course I didn't tell them the end of that story, whose story that was, they couldn't guess. And then Cooper raised his hand and said, that was my story, that was my story. And they said, that wasn't your story, because I know your mother beat you. And he said, no, my mother didn't beat me. She took me for ice cream. And they said, I don't even believe you, Cooper. I know she beat you good. But Cooper said, that was one day my mama didn't beat me at all. She took me for ice cream. Thank you for listening to my stories, and I'll be back again next week. So, remember, read a little, write a little, have a wonderful holiday. And I'll see you again. Take care.